Hey folks, thank you again for coming to Back to Basics for Season 3. Today we're going to speak with Annie DeRee, and we're going to find out what she's all about. There's one thing that we are going to be talking about is helping people. We're going to talk about coaching. We're trying to understand what coaching is all mean. People, they take advantage of coaching. People take advantage of consulting people, and they're not really consultants. They're not really coaching people. They're just there to go and take your money. And that's what we're going to go and talk about today. Trying to understand what Annie's all about and what is that profession all about. So let's get on to the call on Back to Basics with our guest. I'll see you there. Hi folks, thank you again for coming on to Back to Basics. Today we're going to speak with Annie and we're going to go and find out what she's all about. You know, people, they talk about coaching, people, they talk about helping each other out. But they kind of get scared when they hear the word coaching because coaching is one word that we don't like to use, right? But honestly speaking, when you need help, you need to talk to someone. And coaching is one help, one one advice that you want to get from a third party. And because sometimes your friends and family will give you, the needed answer which you're not needed. And these guys help you in a different way. So you know what? Instead of wasting time with me, why don't we talk to our guest today? I'm very excited because I'll tell you why. Why don't we just stop? You know what? Let's get her on the call and let's get to know her better. Annie, how are you? Thanks for coming to Back to Basics.
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you for this opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you again. But before we get into the business of who you are and what you are and why you are, what does Back to Basic mean to you?
Back to basic means
And
oh, are my earplugs okay? Are my
yeah,
earphones okay?
you're
Okay, great. What it means to me is putting things simply and allowing people to be curious without judgment
mm,
and reminding them that it doesn't have to be overwhelming. This doesn't have to be complex. This isn't neuroscience or excuse me, brain surgery. And we don't want it to be that way because that's overwhelming. So that's what I believe it is.
yeah. Thank you again for being on my podcast show, a small podcast where we try to help out as much as we can when it comes to simple, basic, and fun. So thank you again for that. You know, Annie, let me ask you this: when people they say that I'm looking for a coach, I'm looking for a mentor, I need some help, what
Mhm.
is the first thing comes in your mind?
Is one of the questions I'll ask first is how long were you struggling with this? Or have how long have you been struggling with this?
Hmm.
And then following that up with, and have you asked for help in the past?
So if they say that I'm still looking, or it didn't work out, or I've had this for almost a year and
Mhm.
nothing really worked out, what comes in your head when those three answers come in your way?
So the first one of because I believe the first option you gave was I've tried but it didn't work out. That's really common. And what I'll say is, okay, cool, we know it doesn't work for you. Because I believe people think, well, I wasted my time or this is bad. But no, this is fantastic because there's a huge list of things that we can try and you just let me know the ones that don't work for you, don't resonate with you, which ones you, let's say, like hate the idea of, all right, let's toss it out.
Hmm.
There's so many other ways that we can look at this. So let's not walk in with misery and shame.
Hmm.
I forget what the other ones were. I'm sorry.
That's okay. The other one is actually going to be, I've had this for almost a year
Oh,
and I don't know where to go from here. I'm looking for a fast fix, as people they say.
ah, okay. Well, depending on their challenge, I may say, well, let's get into the mindset of this may not be a fast fix. And if, for example, a lot of people go to me for motivation and they'll say, I've been really struggling the last 3 years. Let's take COVID aside. Okay. Let's just take that whole thing aside. Just motivation has been lacking for 3 years. Um, I would just bring to light that you were struggling for 3 years with this. It is not going to change in 3 days. You can have these great revelations and you can have this forward movement, which is fantastic. But something like, dropping 30 pounds in 3 days. Well, it didn't take you 3 days to gain these 30 extra pounds.
Mm,
So being realistic in a gentle way because you're paying me to be real with you, or else you would go ask your significant other who's going to tell you that you look beautiful,
mm,
30 pounds overweight,
mm,
which is fine. It doesn't mean that you're not beautiful. The problem is you don't feel beautiful. The problem is like that you don't feel that way.
mm, mm. Yeah, thank you again for explaining that. Let me ask you this. I I don't want to be rude to you. I don't want to be harsh to you, but I'm gonna give you a lovey-dovey answer. I mean, you understand what I'm saying? That how harsh can you be to a client because you don't want to
Mm.
hurt their feelings either, right? And you want to give a fluff answer, as I said, lovey-dovey answers, right? So, what are your thoughts on that?
So I give them heads up. Like in the beginning, I just keep it real. One of the other things I say is, I'll just let you know off the bat, I'm from Jersey. I live in San Diego now, and I'm um, more relaxed than most people, but I'm from Jersey, which means I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. Also, the people who are doing a disservice to you.
Mm,
They're if you're trying to get to the next level, people babying you is not the way to do it.
mm,
And I just set the clear, very first session, the clear difference between coaching and therapy so they know what to expect with me.
mm,
And giving them a heads up. For example, I'll say, in coaching, we only talk about a little bit about the present, more importantly, the future. And
mm,
if you talk to me about the past for more than, let's say, 2 minutes, I will gently stop you and say, I appreciate the background. What did you learn from this? Because it doesn't really matter what happened in that story. What
mm,
matters is how you're acting now and what you're going to do in the future. But
mm,
for therapy, go talk about it for a whole hour. And I don't mean disrespectful to therapy. It's a beautiful place, but that's not coaching.
mm. So, so you're saying that if I let me give you a scenario. Let's say if I'm going through a certain grief, certain anger, certain whatever, right? And I guess I need coaching to motivate me, or I need therapy to motivate me. Does that make sense?
Mm, I would say it depends on where you are in your healing journey.
Hmm.
If you talk to your blue in the face for therapy for a few years and you're just like, I don't, like I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to hurt someone else, but I'm just tired of talking about this.
Mm,
You're probably ready to go to coaching.
mm,
If you are suffering daily, if you're not getting out of bed, if you're no longer showering or brushing your teeth, if you're having panic attacks often, you're really going to need to work with a therapist.
mm. So basically, I should be normal when I come to you
Well,
for. Is that what you're
I don't
saying?
want to use that word.
Okay. So then what? So so what does that mean then? I guess, right? Because if I'm broken and if I'm normal, not normal,
Mm,
do I come to you for coaching to make me normal? Does that make sense? I mean, it's an oxymoron
mm.
question, but how do I phrase that to help people to come to you or come to any coach for that matter?
I would really I'd make sure that they're ready to set goals and do action steps. So a lot of people, what they need or are looking for is therapy because they're really just looking for someone to talk to. But
Exactly.
with a coach, it is very action oriented.
Mm.
Like you will not leave a session with me without a goal and action steps. It just won't happen because then we're not doing coaching. We're just two people talking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you again for explaining the two because
Ugh,
there are definitely different scenarios. There are many, many more. I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure whoever's listening now or watching, I'm pretty sure they're typing away, giving you suggestions, or me for that matter. And then we're happy to go and answer them if they if we want to. Right? Is that correct?
yeah.
So let me ask you this: when was the first time that you thought that you wanted to be a coach and start helping people? Was it
Mm.
um, something that happened? Was there a trigger that it wanted you to say, "Come to me, and I want to be a coach"?
Um, I think it was when I learned there was a difference between coaching and therapy. I thought I thought I wanted to help people with their mental health and that therapy was the only way. And then when I learned that coaching was a field and that it wasn't this like silly life coaching, anyone calls themselves this means I'm giving advice. When I learned what really coaching is, um, I I knew that was the population for me. So for example, one of my brothers suffered from addiction. And if you're suffering from addiction, that is with a therapist. That needs to be unpacked in therapy. So, knowing about that population as opposed to someone who's, let's say, in recovery and has been for a bit of a time, that person may be more appropriate for coaching.
Hmm. So that's where it all kind of started for you.
I believe so.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you again for explaining that, and and I hope he's actually doing a lot better now.
Oh,
You know, go ahead, go ahead.
oh, no, thank you. Thank you for your kind words.
Sure, sure. So let me ask you this: when you um, how often do people they come to you for a return? I mean, we don't want to come. We don't want people to come back, right? I mean, we want people to be, we want people to be happy. We want them to be cured, but
I love you.
but how often do they come back? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so this is another thing I set clients up with is I don't want you to sign with me forever. I don't want you to sign a year coaching program. And the reason I say that is because that means I'm not a good coach. That means I didn't teach you, I didn't help guide you, and I didn't keep you accountable the first time.
Mm,
Will I turn someone away? Uh, I'm not going to, tell them they're wrong for what they think they need, but I'm
mm,
definitely only starting with 3 months or even 6 weeks to
mm,
share with them that I'm here to teach you. That's my goal. That's why I'm in this field.
mm, mm,
So I didn't realize that you're supposed to say that to people because I thought all coaches do that. And then I learned no, they do like signing 3-year contracts
mm,
um and so what I have found is what some people have done though is come to me for about 3 months and then they do their life, they accomplish great things and then they come back because they're ready for another goal, either in another area or one woman for example came to me for 2 promotions. The first
mm,
time was to get one position, the second time was for another position. But
mm,
she did work in between.
mm. So it's an ongoing process for certain people because they might need some a third party to go and explain to them that this is how I feel, and then you tell them straight out, right? Is that how it is?
Yeah, the I would say the game changer is the accountability.
Mm,
And friends and family are fantastic for accountability,
mm,
especially free accountability, but
mm,
that's what it is. It's free accountability and they don't have skin in the game like you do. Your family might want you to be more healthy, but they don't care about it as much as you. And
mm,
that might sound harsh, but it's just that a quote that I say is, "You're the only person who's going to wake up with you every single day and go to bed with you every single night for
mm,
your entire life."
mm.
So you have to live your life. Sorry, no one can like put on your skin suit and do it for you.
Yeah, thank you again, Annie, for explaining that. And I know those are harsh words when it comes to family, but it is what it is. I mean, that's just
It's
reality. But but we do understand that they don't mean harm.
no.
I think they just have a different way, and they just don't want to protect their own family member, which is totally normal. It's very very normal. Annie,
Mhm.
thank you again for coming on season 3 for Back to Basics. We started a new segment for Back to Basics for season 3. And the segment is a rapid fire round. And this
All
rapid
right.
fire round, we're going to have some words or sentences. Whatever pops in your head, we'll just go from there. How about that?
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
Awesome. So the first word is going to be judgment.
Oh, just a word that comes to mind when I hear judgment,
Okay. Struggle.
pain, oh,
Fix versus cure.
cure,
Coaching versus therapy.
coaching,
Healing.
continuous,
Suffering.
short term,
Helping.
continuous,
Contracts.
necessary,
Family versus accountability.
family,
Success.
ongoing.
Okay. East Coast versus West Coast.
Oh, don't do this to me. I guess I'll say East Coast.
Awesome. And the last two is going to be Annie,
Oh, full of joy,
full of joy. And the last one is going to be Back to Basics.
Oh, knowledgeable.
Awesome. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
playing the rapid fire round. Hopefully, I didn't really challenge you enough. I think I challenged you on the East Coast and the West Coast,
Well, because I don't want my West Coast and East Coast friends listening to this and thinking that I'm picking a side.
but that's okay. We both are covering each other, right? So I'm on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast. So how about we're supporting this episode between the two towns, right? How about that?
That's a great answer. That's a great answer.
So let me ask you this, right? And
Mhm.
when people they come up and take a class for being a coach, and you and I talked about this offline.
Yes.
Um, so there was a test that me and this other podcaster tested, right?
Okay.
That we're going to be a coach. I kid you not, the coach price was $5 to get to that class. And within maybe 24 hours to 36 hours, we became a coach. Legally, I'm a coach. So, how do we explain to people that people like me who could just say that I am a coach who
Mhm.
has no diddly squat experience at all, okay?
Diddly squat.
As compared to you, you have experience. How do you explain to people by stopping them from a fake to a real or real to a real? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard. I've been scammed by a coach. When I first started coaching, I was scammed out of $4,000. I mean, if you've been burned that bad, you start to pick up on what the heck to look out for. So, I would say, um, look into their education or ask them about it.
Hmm,
Look at testimonials. That's another huge one. And how many people they've coached.
hmm,
Because I've only been coaching about 3 years, but I've had around 600 clients. So that's
hmm,
600 experiences to go on. Where someone might say, I've been a coach for 15 years or 10 years, but
hmm.
they've worked with 3 clients and maybe some people in the program they took. So, it, not that, so I don't want time span to not sound like as if it's important because of course, right? If you've been studying
Yeah,
coaching 15 years, that's amazing.
yes.
But I belong to 3 women networking groups and people throw around titles. I mean, just throw around titles.
Hmm,
So, I would definitely ask for kind of like a resume,
hmm. But
checking. Mhm.
Annie, let's put it this way:
Yeah.
there are people who are not college graduates, right?
Mhm.
Let me give you an example, right? I don't have a college graduate, but I'm going back in September, so that's a plus, right? But I have
Yeah.
400 plus episodes that I'm helping people, so that's my testimonial, and
Right.
now plus I'm a coach. So you're telling me that with the number of hours that I've helped people through my medium, does that make
Mm.
me a coach?
I wouldn't say so, just because there's no formal training in it. I mean, I guess technically you could say there is formal training,
Mm,
but an example may be how many supervised hours have you had with clients?
exactly.
It may be something that you want to ask, like, oh, was there, what coach trained you?
Mm,
So also looking to that, because like there's some free certifications,
exactly. Exactly.
and you print out the paper at the end and you say, I'm a transformation coach.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's one of the reasons why I brought up this topic, and you and I chatted offline on this. So it's a little tough, and we don't want to say that other people are bad. We're just saying that there
No.
are scammers out there, and they are you just have to be diligent as to what you're looking for when you are finding a therapy, when you're finding a coach, when you're
Yes.
finding someone to help you.
Yes, truly. And yeah, because also their mental health. Reading one coaching book or one self-development coach does not make you an expert in behavior change.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Thank you again for that. Before you leave today, let me ask you this.
Mhm.
Is there a book or a movie or music that it
Mm.
really makes you joyful the way you are and the way you portray to your clients to be the way you are?
The book Think and Grow Rich was really great for me by Napoleon Hill. I really liked that book.
Mhm,
Uh, if I was going to talk about self-development in as a whole, it would be Atomic Habits.
Mm.
For like looking at the greater being, I would say Think and Grow Rich. But as a person who's like, you want to get your stuff together, you want to jumpstart your life, read Atomic Habits.
Yeah, I think I've read that book twice, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I've read it a few times. It's a
Yeah,
game changer.
it is a game changer. And the other book that I actually recommend for a lot of people is The Compound Effect. Compound
Ooh,
Effect has helped me in many, many different ways. And you and I can talk about this offline, but this is that one book that I feel that everyone should get, even Atomic Habits too. So those are the two books. So whoever's listening here, you can grab those wherever it is. Annie, before you go and leave Back to Basics, do you have any last words to all my Back to Basic listeners and my viewers? And how is your journey on Back to Basics too? On top of that,
so I guess I'll just leave them with a little quote, and that is focus on what you can control and release all that you can't control. If you truly live by that one quote, your life will change forever. So I really hope that resonates with someone. And I mean, I had a great time. I really like you. I like how you ask questions and the insightfulness and digging deeper than that, like basic question asking.
mm.
Basic. But the questions are basic. So
Yeah. Thank you again for coming on the show and making this brighter. I didn't want to go to the detail specifics to certain clients because it's not fair for them for sharing their stories on a public platform. But at least you explained to me that the suffering that they're going through, the struggles that they're going through, and the pain. So you explained the counseling versus therapy, or coaching versus therapy. So thank you again for being here, and thank you again for supporting me on my small podcast that I have here.
oh no, thank you for having me.
Uh,
Thank you.
thank you. So, guys, today we spoke with Annie today, didn't we? And we talked about the coaching versus therapy. We talked about many, many different things, and we also even talked about the fun stuff, which is East Coast and West Coast, right? And there's no right and wrong answer, guys, because we are one human beings. We're trying to find out the right answer for everyone. So we need help from certain people, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of people who will make fun of you because you're looking for help. But don't listen to them. Listen to yourself, because that's the main thing. Now, I know that my guest has already given the quote for the day, but how about if I give the quote? So here's a quote of the day, and hopefully my guest will like that. The quote is, "Success is never final. Failure is never fatal. It encourages that counts." Now, guys, the thing is that asking people for help for success is a huge struggle that they go through, because you know what, I want to be a CEO of a company. Who the hell am I going to go and get help from? Well, we have people like Annie who will help us out. So don't be discouraged with anybody. Just listen to yourself and your gut. I mean, that's what I usually do. Now, as usual, as always, what do we always say at the end of the episode? Everything in life goes back to basics, and that's what we do. Take care, God bless, and I will see you next week on Back to Basics. Take care, guys. How was that?
Woo! I hope I wasn't looking down too much. I was trying to look at your picture, and I'm like, do I look like I'm looking like down? Oh well.
That didn't sound right.
Sorry.
Guys, thank you again for tuning in to Back to Basics and listening to the excellent episode that we had today with our guest. With your love and support, we do need you to at least rate our show, review our show, because it does make us stronger day by day, week by week, as I usually say on my episodes. And there are 3 things in this episode that it makes a hit for me, which is the content, the guest, and definitely the host. So guys, take care, God bless, and remember, everything in life goes back to basics, and that's what we did today, guys. Guys, take care, God bless, and see you next time on Back to Basics.